Hey book friends, so March is full of so many different fun book events. And so in this video, I'm going to be sharing a bit about what my plans are for reading, my buddy read plans, as well as all the different readathons I plan on joining, as well as hosting, because I am hosting a readathon this month. So stay tuned and I will tell you about all the books that I plan on reading in March. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel if you are new here, or welcome back if you have been coming for a while. So like I said, this is my March TBR video, and I have so many fun books already on my list. A lot of them are buddy reads or just different readathons I want to partake in. And so I don't have the space to play my TBR game, but I'm not really worried about that. I feel like I will definitely get back to that in April. But for now, let me just share all of my reading plans with you. I'm going to start with a readathon that I am co-hosting, and that readathon is called A Weekend with Agatha. And it's just a readathon where we are planning on dedicating a weekend to reading Agatha Christie. I will link the announcement video above where it gives you all the details as well as information on reading sprints and things like that. So please go check that out, and go check out Chantel's channel for her announcement video and her plans as well, because it's just going to be a fun time. So as for the books that I plan on reading, I did mention this in my announcement video, so I won't go too in depth with these two books, but I have two Agatha Christie books that are on my list for that weekend, and they're the two books that are the first in the series of the two detectives that Agatha Christie writes about, and that being Hercule Poirot as well as Miss Marple. And so here is the first Poirot book, and it's called The Mysterious Affairs at Styles, where a man comes home from World War I and he's trying to recuperate at this large country estate, and then there's a murder, but he knows a man who can come in and help, and he's a former detective, and his name is Poirot. And so this is the start of the long series of Agatha Christie novels that uses him as the main detective. And then the other main detective she uses is Miss Marple, and the first Miss Marple book is called The Murder at the Vicarage, and this has to do with a small town that has this man that is disliked by everyone, and then he ends up being murdered, and Miss Marple has to come in and figure out what happened, and I believe it involves a church and a vicarage, obviously. So I'm looking forward to dipping my toes into the Miss Marple series. So those are the first two books on my March TBR. Next, let's do middle grade March. So I haven't always read middle grade, but I just made a video where Amanda from The Curly Reader, who is actually one of the co-hosts for middle grade March, where she gave me some book recommendations for middle grade fantasy. I will link the video above. It was a really fun video. I was trying to figure out if I like middle grade, especially middle grade fantasy. And so now it's middle grade March, and I have some series that I started, and I'm excited about these books. So let me share my potential pile for middle grade March, because I'm not really following the prompts, but I'm just trying to read the middle grade that's on my shelves that I'm really excited about. And so I have three here, and I will start with this one. So The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and this is by Kelly Barnhill, and I feel like a lot of people have read this book and really loved it. It is about the small town that borders the woods, and the people in this town are superstitious about this witch that lives in the woods, and they believe that they need to sacrifice the youngest child to the witch every year on a certain date, and they do. They leave a child in the woods, and every year the witch finds the child and wonders why there's a child in the woods, and she takes the child through the woods to the nearest town so someone can take care of these children, sort of idea. But in this particular year, instead of the witch giving the child, I think, starlight to sustain them, she accidentally gives them moonlight, which I believe gives magical powers. So this child then becomes magical, and I think it goes from there. It sounds just really cute, and I just love the cover. So that's the first on my list. The next book I want to get to is this book. So I read The Keeper of the Lost Cities last month during my reading vlog, and I loved it. Spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen that. I thought it was a really enjoyable book. So I immediately picked up the second one in the series, which I think there's like 9 books in this series. But the second book is called Exile, and it continues the story of this girl named Sophie, where in the first book she discovers that she's a telepath and she can hear voices in her head, and she just thought that something was wrong with her, but then she finds out she really should be a part of the elvish world, and she gets pulled into that, and she gets pulled into this magic school, like this training of the young elves. And I love magic school tropes, so that has been really enjoyable. And a lot of things happened in that first book, and I believe they're just going to continue happening here. So I'm excited to pick it up. I mean, they're really large books, but they're quick reads. It's very fast reading. So I really have enjoyed that. So I'm excited to pick up Exile. And the third middle grade book on my potential pile is this book. It's the first in the Wing Feather Saga. I've started this book. Oh my gosh, I'm about like a third of the way in, but I've kind of forgotten what happened, so I might have to start from the beginning. But what I remember, it is about this group of siblings who live in this town that is controlled kind of by these Fanes of Darkness. And due to some circumstances, they become on the radar of these kind of evil things, and they have to flee. And they start their adventure, I believe is what these are about. I was pre-reading it to see if I could read it to my son or to see if he could listen to it on audiobook, but I think he's still a little bit young for this. Most parents, I believe, are recommending more around the age 10, and he's age 8. So I have all the books for him, but I thought I might as well read them. They sound really, really fun. So those are the books I'm excited about to potentially pick up for middle grade March. Now, on to buddy reads. So I have one for sure buddy read, and that is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I always say that wrong. But I am planning to read this with my little sister, and it's been on our list for a while. This book, which has been on a lot of my TBRs, and I'm excited to finally pick it up. Buddy reads are good for pushing me to actually pick up the books that I've been wanting to read for a while. So this is about this woman who, if I remember right, she has like this wonderful life, wonderful husband, wonderful marriage until she doesn't. And she shoots her husband in the face a number of times or something like that. And then she stops talking. She doesn't tell people why. She obviously goes to jail, I'm sure. And then there's this psychotherapist who's interested in why. Who's interested in kind of like what's going on in her brain and tries to get her to talk about it. And I think you kind of learn what happens as he's able to pull it out of her, which just sounds so interesting. I've always been intrigued by this book. I always want to know why someone would do that. So that's on my list. I will definitely be getting to that this month. So as for my other two buddy reads, so these are the buddy reads via Patreon of different booktubers I follow and support. And I try and participate in the book clubs that they each run every month. It just kind of depends on the books that are chosen. And the choices haven't even really been solidified yet. But these are the books that if they are chosen, I want to read. I don't want to read the other ones, so I won't participate in the book clubs if these are not chosen. So the first one is In the Woods by Tana French. And I think that's how you say her name. But I'm really excited about this because it's the first book in a detective series, which I am interested in picking up more series within the mystery thriller sort of genre. So this one in particular is about a small suburb in the 80s where these children went missing in the woods, and then I believe one of them was found and he was like terrified and holding onto a tree, and there was like blood in his shoes or something like that. So that happened in the 80s, and I don't believe it was ever solved. And then you fast forward to present time, and that boy turned man is now a detective. And then there is a girl that is found murdered in those same woods where he was attacked when he was a child, but he can't remember anything. So now him and his partner are investigating it. So it sounds really good, and I am just really looking for a good detective series to follow. So I really hope I like this kind of detective sidekick pairing. And hopefully this book gets chosen for April's Patreon, and so is April from Getting Hookah With It. I'll link her below. And so I'm hoping to pick that up. And the other buddy read that I hope this book is chosen is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, I believe. Oh, this book sounds so good. It's about this woman whose husband disappears, but he leaves her a note before he leaves that says, like, protect her, which I believe has to do with a daughter of his. I'm not sure on the details, but it sounds like this book is about the wife and daughter investigating this man, because as some things start to surface that show them that he is not who they thought he was, but they might have some answers to figuring stuff out. So they kind of go looking for him, I believe. It sounds just fast-paced and just thrilling and entertaining. So I really hope this book is chosen for the buddy read. And I'm not sure if I said this yet, but this book is for the buddy read on Jacqueline's Patreon, and I will link her YouTube channel down below. She's great too. So those are my buddy reads that I have planned. So if I'm able to get through those books, I do have one book that I want to read, and odds are I'm just going to read it even if I don't get through all of my other books. It's a big book, but it is the new Sarah J Maas book. And if you've been following my channel for a couple months, you know that I picked up the first book in the Crescent City series, The House of Earth and Blood, in January, and I loved it. I was surprised by it. I was highly entertained by it. And here is the second book, and I'm so excited to pick it up. So the series is about this girl named Bryce, who is a half fae, half human, who in the first book gets pulled into this investigation that has to do with these brutal murders that are happening in Crescent City. And she is given help in the form of a fallen angel named Hunt. And they team up to try and solve these murders. And the city is full of lots of different mythical, magical creatures, from angels to wolves to elves to mermaids to sprites. I mean, it's really kind of fun. I really enjoyed the setting of the first book, and so I'm excited to kind of dive into more of that. And obviously this is a gigantic book. I think it's like 800 pages, so this will take me a while. It's even hard to hold up. It's so heavy. I'm just really excited to continue in this world and learn more about what's going on, as well as dive more into Sarah J Maas and her writing. So yes, I'm excited to pick that up. So those are the books that I am planning for March. I am so curious and so excited about so many of those books. So hopefully it is an excellent reading month. But let me know down below, are you planning on participating in anything? Are you participating in the weekend with Agatha? I hope you are. It'll be really fun. Or are you participating in Middle Grade March or March Mystery Madness? There's so many readathons going on in March. So if you are excited about all these things like I am, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And otherwise, I will see you for the next book video. Okay guys, take care.